Good evening. It is 9 o'clock East African time and you are just in time for TV47 Prime. My name is Peter Kamau and our sign language interpreter is Catherine Simaloe. For the first time, the government of Tanzania has acknowledged that 518 people were killed and over 2,000 injured during the 2025 post-election unrest. The figures, however, remain contested, with opposition groups and civil society organizations insisting the true toll is significantly higher. President Samia Suluhu Hassan has received the report and pledged to establish a National Reconciliation Commission in the coming days. But opposition parties have dismissed the findings, describing them as a cover-up of alleged state-linked abuses. Sheila Chelangat now reports.
Following her swearing in, President Samia Suluhu Hassan constituted a special task force to investigate the violence that erupted during and after the October 29, 2025 elections. While opposition leaders and activists had claimed that thousands were killed, the government had consistently dismissed those figures. In a significant shift, the inquiry task force has now confirmed 518 deaths, while cautioning that the toll could be higher, citing cases of unreported burials.
Wanaume ni 490 sawa na 94.6, na wanawake ni 28 sawa na 5.4. Wingi kati ya vifo hivyo vilikuwa sio vya kawaida, yani unnatural. Vifo vya kawaida sio kisheria, vifo sio halali.
Dar es Salaam recorded the highest number of fatalities at 182, followed by Mwanza with 90, Mbeya with 80, and Arusha with 53.
Serikali itaendelea kufanya uchunguzi wa kina na wa kitaalamu ili tujue mambo haya kwa usahihi wake.
Opposition parties have dismissed the findings, saying security forces killed thousands. They further alleged that the report is a cover-up of state-linked abuses.
Makundi mbalimbali na baadhi ya watu mmoja walikuwa wakitoa takwimu za vifo na walioathirika bila ya kuwa na uhakika. Takwimu hizo ama zilikusudia kufifisha au kuzidisha, kutia chumvi kiwango cha madhara yaliyotokea.
Report further claims that violence was coordinated, financed and executed by trained individuals. Earlier, President Samia had suggested that foreign actors from neighboring countries may have played a role in orchestrating the unrest. Key proposals in the report include the initiation of a national reconciliation process addressing youth grievances, especially economic challenges, and resolving political disputes, including reforms to the Electoral Commission framework. President Samia also announced that within days or weeks, her administration will establish a National Reconciliation Commission, bringing together all key stakeholders. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Thank you, Sheila. In other news, Vihiga Senator Godfrey Otsotsi has accused Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo of being behind a violent attack against him in Kisumu just weeks ago. Appearing before the Senate Committee on National Security and Foreign Relations, Otsotsi claimed that political thuggery is being funded and protected by individuals within government. Our reporter SIGNET has the details.
The Senate Committee on National Defense and Foreign Relations today grilled Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja and DCI Director Mohamed Amin over the country's growing security concerns. During the session, Vihiga Senator Godfrey Otsotsi seized the moment to recount a brazen attack carried out against him by hired goons in Kisumu weeks ago. In explosive remarks, Otsotsi singled out Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo, alleging that his office is at the center of organized political violence.
If you go to his office, the people you meet in the corridor are goons. In his vehicle, he walks around with goons. In his chopper, he walks around with goons. So this is a goon Principal Secretary, and something has to be done about this.
Otsotsi also dismissed Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen's claim that suspects had fled to a neighboring country.
These assailants Some of them are in Kisumu, others have been transported to Nakuru. And in fact, if you want to know the level of impunity over this matter, some of these assailants were in court when the 3 colleagues were brought in court. They were among the audience in the court, and they were not being arrested.
Senators insisted that the matter demands direct answers from Interior Cabinet Secretary, faulting his absence and instead the appearance of Kanja and Amin.
Given the magnitude of this issue, I think it will be fair to subject it to Article 153 of the Constitution and have the Cabinet Secretary, not even the Principal Secretary, it is the Cabinet Secretary who would be liable to respond to this issue.
I would like Raymond Omolo to be brought here. I would like Cabinet Secretary for Interior, who is protecting Raymond Omolo, to be brought here. That is the only way I'll get satisfaction.
Inspector General Douglas Kanja, however, condemned the attack on Osotsi.
What happened to Senator Osotsi is not right. Very, very unfortunate.
At the same time, Osotsi and Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna demanded firm security guarantees ahead of their planned Linda Mwananchi rally in Kisumu this Sunday.
I don't think it is too much to ask for him to give that assurance, especially in light of what happened to Senator Osotsi, who's the one making that request.
I want to assure that the meeting will be fully secured. We addressed the same.
Political violence has now taken a dangerous new turn, with pressure mounting on top security officials to take responsibility.
We have seen where they come from, who funds, who does what, who is the grassroots organizer, and so forth and so on. I want to assure you, Chair, and the honorable members, this issue of guns and guns is going to stop.
Sydney Chazima, TV47.
A nationwide teachers' strike has been averted following successful talks between the government and teachers' unions. The breakthrough came after intervention by the Ministry of Health, which addressed concerns surrounding the Social Health Authority (SHA). Union leaders clarified that no formal strike notice had been issued, dismissing earlier claims as misinformation. Government officials confirmed reforms to improve healthcare, access, service delivery, and support under SHA. Schools will remain open, ensuring continuity in learning as dialogue continues to strengthen the education sector.
Of the hospitals they were able to access under the previous.
The police and the civil servants services are strictly prohibited from charging any teacher or any civil servant or any police or prison officer any of the out-of-pocket fees or what we call co-payment. This directive is in strict adherence to the binding obligations already executed in the main contract and the addendum signed between facilities and SHA.
And in this cash payment issue or co-pay, we are asking teachers to report. Yes, we have to monitor SHA ourselves because this thing is either working for us or not working for us. So teachers must monitor any hospital that's charging them cash and report this. And we have a system. So quickly you are coerced to pay cash, report to the executive secretary. And even take a copy of the receipt so that we can report this. We shall supervise this thing ourselves for our own sake.
Threat of a strike over the issue of SHA is not a function of this meeting now. It was basically to iron out our differences, and having gotten the assurances, we now have the teachers to have the patience to exhaust all the avenues which are involved in this stakeholder engagement.
Concern is growing over low voter registration in the Nyanza region, with over 1.4 million eligible voters yet to register and more than 80,000 national ID cards still uncollected. Leaders, including engineer Fred Owino and coordinator Flora Moroa, have warned that many residents risk missing out on the right to vote. Initiatives including call centers have been set up to urge residents to register before the deadline.
Within the 4 counties within this region of Siaya, Migori, Kisumu, and Homa Bay, we have about 1.270 million citizens who have IDs and are not registered as voters. Therefore, this calls for an initiative of extraordinary.
As we push for the voter registration right now, the ID registration must also be emphasized so that our people have IDs and they can be able to register.
Over 80,000 uncollected identity cards. This number is as per last week. This number has increased because this week we have received more identity cards. And I also want to call upon our people to collect their identity cards, of course, because they cannot register as voters without the identity cards.
President William Ruto and ODM leader Oburu Oginga have agreed to form a high-level joint committee to address zoning disputes between United Democratic Alliance and Orange Democratic Movement. The decision was reached during a meeting at State House, Nairobi, bringing together top leaders from both sides. The committee will include cabinet secretaries and parliamentary leaders from both majority and minority sides, tasked with harmonizing the coalition's agenda.
After weeks of a public war of words over ODM traditional political strongholds, President William Ruto and ODM party leader Oburu Oginga finally met at State House, Nairobi, accompanied by their respective top party organs.
They are very good people, they came.
Images from State House showed the two leaders in high spirits as they agreed to establish a broad-based management committee to address contentious issues within the broad-based government and their political parties UDA and ODM. According to a joint statement from the two parties, the committee will be co-chaired by President Ruto and Oburu Oginga and will include selected cabinet secretaries as well as leaders of both the majority and minority in parliament.
You're not putting up socks to put your own socks.
Party chairpersons Cecily Mbarire of UDA and Gladys Wanga of ODM have been tasked with leading consultations between the two parties.
Welcome consultation.
Thursday's meeting also laid the groundwork for the much-anticipated pre-election coalition between UDA and ODM ahead of next year's general election. The two parties have been at odds over the protection of ODM traditional political strongholds, with ODM insisting on safeguarding its zones, while UDA maintains it has the freedom to field candidates across the country. Both parties also face the challenge of agreeing on a running mate for President William Ruto in the 2027 polls. Apollo Kamau, TV47.
Thank you, Apollo Kamau, for that report. Now, moving on, opposition leaders under the United Alternative Government led by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka have intensified their criticism of the current administration during day 2 of their Meet the People tour. The leaders accused the government of failing to address key issues affecting Kenyans, including the cost of living and security concerns.
Nani ameharibu masomo? Nani ameharibu matibabu? Nani amesabaratisha maendeleo ya Ukambani?
The Democracy for Citizens Party leader Rigathi Gachagua led the charge, weighing in on controversial transfer of teachers' health insurance from government management to the Social Health Authority. Gachagua alleged that the new system is dysfunctional, leaving teachers to suffer, and further claimed that the teachers' union has been compromised.
Walimu wetu, watu wa heshima, our professionals, the people responsible for our children, for developing the human resource capital in Kenya, wanakosewa heshima. Mimi naambia walimu mjipange. Muambie wakuu wenu wa union wa NAT na KUPPET walihongwa na Kasongo, wakamtoa Minet wakapeleka nyinyi SHA. Muambie hao watu watoe nyinyi SHA, wawekee nyinyi insurance ambaye mtapata heshima kama walimu wetu.
Wiper Patriotic Front Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka condemned what he described as the government's tolerance of goons, warning that the president could face international consequences, including possible scrutiny by the International Criminal Court (ICC) if goonism continues to flourish unchecked. Speaking at a different event, Jubilee Deputy Party leader Fred Matiang'i castigated a section of political leaders accused of sponsoring violence and hiring goons to disrupt rival gatherings, warning that such actions undermine the country's democracy.
We are documenting every occurrence. This is a country that must remain democratic, a country that must remain under the rule of law. And you, Mr. President, if you don't stop your goonism, we will take you back to the ICC.
Hii shida tumekuwa nayo ya goons, ya watu wetu kupiwa kwa mikutano. Sisi kama Jubilee tunasimamia amani. Tunaambia wafuasi wetu na tunaambia wale ni wanachama wa Jubilee tusiingilie mikutano ya wengine tafadhali. Vile vile tunaomba nao waheshimu mikutano yetu, waheshimu mipango yetu ya siasa na waheshimu wanachama wetu.
DAPK party leader Eugene Wamalwa warned Kenyans against granting President William Ruto a second term, calling such a move catastrophic for the country's future. He, along with other opposition leaders, continued to fault the current administration over what they termed poor governance and being out of touch with citizens.
Nataka niwaambie tukisema one term, tuambie wale wanasema Ruto two term. Ruto ashakula paka share yake ya two term. Yani kwa miaka term moja amekula ile ya Uhuru ya term yote mbili. Aende asiende jamani? Si ashakula second term yake? Sababu tukimweka endelee miaka ingine 5, haki ya Mungu, there will be no country left. Sababu ya wizi unaoendelea, amepora kila kitu.
While affirming opposition unity, Fred Matiang'i declared that the Jubilee Party is firmly aligned with the united opposition in a strategic push to ensure President William Ruto serves only one term.
Sisi kama Jubilee tumeungana na wale wengine katika upinzani na tutasimama pamoja. Tunahubiri kwamba sisi tuko katika hali ile ya one term, sababu tunataka kubadilisha uongozi wa nchi yetu ya Kenya.
The coalition's Meet the People tour is set to continue tomorrow as the leaders head to the coast region, where they're expected to rally further support from the public.
The United Democratic Alliance has conducted grassroots elections across various counties, with the exercise largely proceeding smoothly. However, low voter turnout was reported in some areas, with systems glitches also sparking complaints from participants. Let's take a look.
In Bungoma County, the process went on without hitches. Elected leaders were urged to serve members diligently, with MP Didmas Baraza asserting that UDA is a long-term party poised to win the 2027 general elections.
The turnout that we witnessed today is a confirmation that the people of Bungoma have a lot of confidence in our party UDA, and that they are willing to participate in the future plans of our party.
In Tana River County, Senator Danson Mungatana emphasized the need for religious leaders to provide moral guidance to politicians. However, the exercise faced challenges of low voter turnout in Isiolo and Taita Taveta counties.
Sisi wanasiasa ni watu wa binadamu na tuna makosa tunafanya. Tunataka kukosolewa, kukumbushwa. Tunataka.
Technological issues also emerged in some areas where voters found their names missing from the electronic register. In Kisumu County, election board member Alak Dida acknowledged these setbacks but assured the public that appropriate measures were being taken to solve them.
A registered voter there, then you are not eligible. So the presiding officers and clerks have been very much of assistance in terms of directing those.
In Makueni and Kwale counties, the exercise was described as largely successful, overseen by senior government officials.
Hii inatuonyesha ya kwamba chama cha UDA kimeanza kupata umaarufu mkubwa katika hii Msambweni na kaunti yetu ya Kwale kwa jumla.
Athman Said Mwamlisho for TV47, Nairobi.
Newly registered political party, the People Renaissance Movement Party, which is associated with the Linda Mwananchi function, has warned that it will join opposition-led protest if the government fails to ease the burden of high fuel prices. Party officials led by interim chairman Jenga Waragu are calling on the government to scrap taxes imposed on petroleum products, reduce the price of fuel by between 20 and 30 shillings per litre, and cut excise duty by up to 50%. The leaders say that if their proposals are implemented, the cost of living for Kenyans will significantly go down.
The PM proposes urgent measures that can deliver relief within weeks, not years. Immediate tax relief, impact to reduce palm prices by 20 to 30 shillings per litre. Suspend even the 8% VAT and reduce excise duty by at least 50%. This alone can lower petrol and diesel prices by 15 to 20%, easing pressure on households and businesses.
Sisi mama mboga wa kibanda, bei imekuwa juu, bei ya mboga iko juu, nyanya ziko juu, kila kitu imepanda, hata unga kwa sababu ya mafuta venye imepanda. Tunaomba mabadiliko, we need a change.
Kwa sasa mafuta ya 200 saa hii hata inafuliwa wai kama avieta. Hata huwezi jua imeenda aje.
Kutoka mtaani hadi hapa garage, saa zingine ni ngumu kufika cause bibi nini na watoto wanataka, pia lazima uorganize kwa nyumba nini, lakini tunataka mabadiliko saa hii.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, in collaboration with the Eastern Africa Association of Anti-Corruption Authorities, has today convened a high-level regional conference in Nairobi to reinforce cooperation against corruption and financial crime. Speakers at the forum emphasized that corruption and illicit financial flows remain a major obstacle to economic growth, warning that financial crime transcends borders and demands collective regional action. They stressed that no single institution can win this battle alone, urging governments and agencies to ensure that audit findings translate into real accountability.
We are bound together by trade, borders, financial systems, and shared vulnerabilities. When corruption finds a loophole in one jurisdiction, it does not remain there. It adapts, moves, and expands. That is why our response must be regional, coordinated, and faster than the networks we are confronting.
Corruption continues to undermine governance, erode public trust, and deprive citizens of their respective jurisdictions of essential services.
We must acknowledge a sobering truth that no single agency and no single country can win this battle in isolation.
Moving on, cases of teenage pregnancies in the country have been on the rise over the past several years, with Kilifi County and Migori County leading in the number of young mothers. Sally Davida reported.
In Kilifi and Migori County, lack of education on sexual and reproductive health has been cited as a major challenge. A study conducted by the Faith to Action Network has revealed that the youngest mother in Kilifi County is only 24 years old. Stakeholders from various sectors have emphasized the importance of working with religious leaders to help reduce and prevent teenage pregnancies in communities.
People highly motivated to speak, but they don't have the correct information. And so one of the reasons of the hub today is to let the faith leaders stand in that gap, to tell communities that it is okay to have open conversations.
Additionally, the Ministry of Health has pledged to follow up and ensure that sexual and reproductive health issues are properly addressed in these communities in order to reduce cases of teenage pregnancies.
As Ministry of Health, been committed that we are going to work together with the religious organization to make sure that the sexual reproductive health is addressed, the issues are addressed.
For now, several strategies are being implemented in collaboration with the county government to address the issue, including the establishment of special schools in order to enable them to continue with their education and receive the support they need.
Wale ambao wamepata mimba za mapema, what next? Tunawachukua tuangalie back to school ama back to skilling ili waweze kujenga taifa letu.
Sally Davida, TV47.
And you are watching TV47 Prime. We're now taking a short commercial break. We'll be right back after this.
Azam TV, your favorite pay TV, just got even better. Effective 1st March 2026, we have added 5 amazing new TV channels to keep you entertained day and night. AMC Movies and Nolly Africa for the best of Nollywood movies and series. Music Box Hits and Music Box Dance for non-stop music hits and dance. And Manchester United TV for football fans. More movies, more music, more sports, all in one place.
Skia, ni juicy. Flavor zote tamu tena fruity. Yummy na flow kama maji juu ni tamu kama sali. Ni juicy. Are you bored? Kuna vitu zinakuudhi, usijali my bro, ibu kama taka juicy juni.
Welcome back. You're watching TV47 Prime. My name is Peter Kamau. Our sign language interpreter is Catherine Simaloi. Now, Kenya is stepping up its fight against malaria, even as the country records gradual progress in reducing infections and deaths. Health officials caution that the disease remains a major public health threat, with millions of people still at risk. Our reporter Faith Wangari breaks it down.
Mosquito kidogo tu inatuchenga. Na venye tumesoma. No. I think it is the high time we said no malaria in Kenya.
Kenya has made significant progress in reducing malaria infections, with prevalence dropping from 8% in 2015 to 6% in 2022, a milestone attributed to sustained disease control efforts. However, malaria remains a major public health challenge. Data shows that in 2024, Kenya recorded 4 million malaria cases, with 75% of the population still at risk of infection. The disease also accounts for 18% of patients seeking treatment in public health facilities.
Our solutions must be locally led and sustained. This requires deep domestic investment into our country and to the system. And I want to commit from the national government, our counter funding for malaria will stay.
The Ministry of Health is now targeting an 80% reduction in malaria cases and a 90% reduction in deaths through comprehensive prevention and treatment strategies.
We have reduced our malaria burden from the very many years behind when it was very high. Specifically in Kisumu County, we've been able to reduce malaria from 38%, that was in 2015, to around 15% according to the Kenya Malaria Indicator Survey of 2015.
Despite these gains, experts warn that malaria parasites continue to evolve, threatening the effectiveness of existing drugs. Kenya is among the few countries implementing multiple first-line treatment strategies, beginning in high-burden counties such as Baringo, Busia, Kakamega, and Siaya before expanding nationwide. However, misuse of medication remains a major challenge, contributing to drug resistance.
We have very few drugs remaining. I think in the country we only have 4 different types of products, particularly maybe between 4 and 6. And if we are not able to use these drugs properly, then we get resistance to drug treatment and we get a lot more malaria if that is not managed.
Community health workers are expected to play a key role in educating the public on proper drug use and prevention methods. In high-risk areas such as Turkana, targeted interventions are ongoing, focusing on preventive treatments for children at risk before infection occurs. Over 82,000 children were reached in 2024 in Turkana, with a targeted of 135,000 children this year.
Turkana County has a population of more than 1.2 million people, and we realize that more than 550,000 within a year actually cases of malaria reporting to the facility. And that is more than 50% of all cases that we see in the county.
The Ministry of Health has come up with ways of mitigating malaria in the counties, targeting 0%, zero malaria in the counties. The government has insisted that this has to come from the counties in terms of the health sectors as well as the funding. Reporting for TV47, my name is Faith Wangari.
Thank you, Faith. Now, the cost of condom is projected to increase significantly worldwide after Malaysian manufacturer Carex PhD announced a price hike of up to 30%. This comes after a February 2026 report by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation highlighted a shortage of condoms, specifically in Kenya. Young people are now expressing concern, urging institutions to ensure continued access despite rising cost. Susan Locho tells us more.
Condoms are not just a commodity, they're essential for protecting lives. However, Kenya has been experiencing a shortage. According to the AIDS Healthcare Foundation's February 2026 report, the country had only about 150 million condoms available, while the annual demand stands at roughly 400 million.
Currently, what we need as a country is 400 million condoms to cater for the population that is sexually active. And what we have at the moment is 150 million.
For many young people, the issue goes beyond availability to affordability. They are voicing frustration, especially after the reduction in donor-funded supply programs, which has made access even more difficult.
Linganisha mwaka uliopita, Donald Trump alikatiza kuja kwa ile msaada wa USAID, ilikuwa pigo sana. Na sasa hivi tunasikia kwamba condoms zitapanda bei.
Hili swala ya kukosa mambo ya mipira ya mapenzi inatuadhiri sana kama si vijana. Hivi tukiangalia mambo ya HIV imepanda.
Beyond Kenya, Carex PhD, one of the world's largest condom manufacturers, attributes the price increase to rising production and logistics costs. The company points to more expensive raw materials such as synthetic latex and lubricants, as well as higher transportation costs driven by global conflicts.
We have no choice but to, transfer the costs to the customers. We do see some shortages in synthetic rubber.
This raises a pressing concern. Will higher prices discourage some people from using protection? Susan Locho, TV47.
World record attempts continue to capture global attention, and Kenya is once again in the spotlight. In Kesup Forest, Hilary Kiplagat has made history after planting more than 23,000 trees in a single day in a bid to set a new world record. And as Munene John reports, Kiplagat is now awaiting official ratification from Guinness World Records, even as his feat sparks fresh debate on environmental conservation. Take a look.
In just 24 hours, Kesup Forest in Elgeyo Marakwet County was transformed into a site of historic achievement. Hilary Kiplagat planted 23,326 trees, a feat now placing him on the brink of a possible world record in tree planting within a single day. Hillary was targeting the current record held by a Canadian national who planted 23,060 trees in one day. Kiplagat says his mission goes beyond records, focusing instead on raising awareness about reforestation and environmental conservation. The final outcome is expected to be announced once verification is completed by Guinness World Records.
Nilianza na nguvu kwa kazi, pale nilipofika mahali kidogo nilianza kuchoka. Lakini kilichonifanya niweze kuendeleza ama kuona kwamba sijakufa roho ni kwamba ninapenda mambo ya mazingira kabisa. Iko kwa roho yangu sana sana upanzi wa miche.
Following the intense effort, Kiplagat received medical attention as he was praised for the remarkable feat. He says the initiative was driven by his long-standing passion for environmental protection and climate action.
Mimi naambia kijana yangu, pongezi kijana yangu kwa sababu umefanya kazi yenye hata hao wengine hawakufanya.
I tell him ongera. I tell him that we will move forward with him and we offer all the support as a government.
Na huyu kijana amekuwa mstari wa mbele kwa mambo ya Kiplagat integrated conservation. Na nimeona amejaribu, tunangoja tu Guinness Book of Record ithibitishe kama ni ukweli ame break au bado.
Officials from the Ministry of Finance described the effort as significant in supporting national environment goals, while the forestry leadership also backed the initiative, highlighting the importance of citizen-driven climate action amid rising environmental challenges. Munene John for TV47.
The National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining conducts a public participation exercise in Kericho on the forest conservation and management. A proposed law aimed at strengthening forest governance, boosting commercial forestry and aligning the sector with Kenya's ambitious tree planting targets. Speaking during the forum, committee chair Charles Kamuren says the bill seeks to reinforce the legal framework guiding forestry in order to address emerging challenges such as climate change and environmental degradation. While advancing sustainable natural resource management, the bill, which is sponsored by National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, also seeks to create the Office of the Director of Forest Regulation, which is responsible for setting standards and regulating entities within the forest sector.
The purpose of this public participation is to do with the amendments that of forestry conservation and management. Amendment Bill 2025, number 38. And this bill is going to enhance service delivery of the relevant ministry to the residents, to the citizens of this nation. It is also going to enhance revenue collections. It is going to introduce dry land forestry. It is also going to enhance the harvesting of the water. It is also going to introduce a forestry academy that will train now specifically those who are going to be handling matters conservations.
So this is a very, very important bill, and especially also in cases of the fine that is being imposed on people who go against the law, specifically in issues of charcoal and firewood. And the participants were concerned that 100,000 is a lot, or 1 million is a lot for those people, especially those who are doing, maybe going to the forest to fetch firewood and maybe charcoal. But for those with plantations and the like, higher fine should be imposed on the same. So ideally, people have participated, and I have seen there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Let's look at matters business. President William Ruto says African countries are now benchmarking Kenya's affordable housing framework to advance government-led development and unlock new infrastructure financing models. He notes that the approach demonstrates how structured domestic funding can reduce over-reliance on external borrowing while accelerating project delivery. He adds that the National Infrastructure Fund, designed to mobilize about $3 billion, provides a catalytic base to scale this model across sectors and markets.
Kenya is advancing the domestic capital-led infrastructure model towards the continent, anchored on the National Infrastructure Fund, which is seeded with approximately $3 billion from divestiture and privatization, and is designed to strengthen project preparation, structuring, and execution.
In many of our economies, over 60% of exports remain commodity-based, while we import nearly 3 times more manufactured goods than we export. It should not surprise us, therefore, that manufacturing has stagnated at about 10% of GDP for the last 2 decades. As long as this pattern persists, our growth will remain constrained, our economies will remain vulnerable, and our full potential will be unrealized.
The shift comes as Africa's non-bank domestic capital pools exceeds $2 trillion, outpacing cumulative external flows over the past decade, while official development assistance and sovereign borrowing continues to decline.
If the NSSF money is used for eating, not to build part of the bone marrow, because the English don't have enough words, it's a very big mistake.
I've made a lot of mistakes in the past where we've been relying on foreign investors. A foreign investor will not come without the leadership of domestic investors.
The model can be replicated regionally as it prioritizes intermediation, converting available liquidity into bankable infrastructure and industrial projects while reducing exposure to foreign exchange volatility. Hibak Said for TV47.
Kenya's premium housing segment is expanding rapidly with a new 5.6 billion shillings development of 156 low-density townhouses launched within a master plan urban zone near Nairobi. According to developers, the project reflects a 28% surge in high-end property demand driven by affluent buyers prioritizing space, security and suburban living. With prices ranging from 25.6 million shillings to 44.5 million shillings, the development underscores growing investor confidence with rental yields projected at 7 to 9% annually and strong uptake from owner-occupiers.
If you look at Nairobi's, what I would call the Nairobi metropolitan development, especially residential, is really moving to the neighboring counties, Kajiado on one side, Kiambu on the other. So I think, Tatu City is the next, it's the biggest sort of master plan development in the country. So it's just natural that a developer like us would move here.
Ruiru has been able to appreciate, the land here has been able to appreciate by 16% just last year. The rental values have been able to appreciate by 15%. So that gives you indication that more and more people are moving towards this side. So for any investor that is looking for a ripe development and a development that can be able to give them the returns, this is the location. And this location becomes very ideal for end users because all the infrastructure is provided, the schools are already here, the security is already provided.
Africa's digital agenda is set to take center stage at the Connected Africa Summit 2026, scheduled for April 27th to 30th in Nairobi, bringing together policymakers, innovators and technology leaders to drive the implementation of digital economy strategies across the continent. The discussions will focus on artificial intelligence, digital public infrastructure and cybersecurity with emphasis on cross-border systems, talent development and scaling innovation. A new continental secretariat is also set to be launched aimed at strengthening coordination, accountability and long-term collaboration across Africa's digital ecosystem.
It's a significant commitment from Kenya's leading private sector operator, and it reflects the role industry is playing in building the connected Africa we are here to convene. I want to give special thanks to Safaricom for that confidence, and I extend that gratitude to the wider community of sponsors and partners who will be supporting our work at the Edge Convention Center over the next 4 days. Ministers will hold working sessions on bridging Africa's digital divide, which today is not only a divide in who is connected and who is not, but in who owns the value flowing through our networks once they are built, and who sets the rules for that flow.
That's all we had for you in the world of business. Now let's take a look at what's happening in the sports world. Now, the 2026 Mozart Cup quarterfinals draw has produced several exciting matchups headlined by a blockbuster clash between 2024 champions Kenya Police FC and Shabana FC. In another high-stakes encounter, KCB FC will face defending champions Nairobi United as both sides battle for a place in the semi-finals. Elsewhere, league giants Tusker FC are set to take on Ulinzi Stars in what promises to be a tightly contested affair, while coastal side Bandari FC will host Eldoret-based Wafalme FC.
With Kenya Police FC in our last quarter, FC, two-time champions of the FKF Cup from the coastal region. Everyone is KCB. Nairobi United will face off with KCB FC. Nairobi United versus KCB will be see. Mfalme will make the trip to coast to face Bandari. The final fixture will see
Shabana FC.
Shabana FC.
Tumejaa ngori, Bandari, we are coming for you. It's okay, I know we are underdogs in this, but you know, even David did beat Goliath, so anything is possible. This is football.
I feel good, I feel happy, because this is our time also. And this is like a final match, because we are not going to go for second leg. And it's motivation, that match is motivation to us. We are playing with the champions, and we know how they do it, and we know they want to defend the trophy, but also want to win the same trophy.
It's going to be tough, but I believe our players are up to the task, and our technical bench. Of course, one match at a time. Next, we're playing KCB in the quarters, and we also played with them last season. So they are familiar opponents. We know them. The players know each other, the coaches. So it's about preparation. So, and we believe we are up to the task.
It was a joint effort from both the Federation and ourselves to consider, because over the last seasons we have received a lot of feedback that the Cup games are being hosted only in Nairobi, especially these penultimate stages. So it's just to ensure also the fans from the other regions around the country, since the Cup has participants from all over.
Moving on, preparations for the CAF Africa Cup of Nations 2027 have gained momentum as key Africa Cup of Nations 2027 stakeholders from East Africa convene in Kampala for the second day for a high-level planning workshop aimed at ensuring the tournament's success. The two-day meeting brought together officials from Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania under the Pamoja Local Organizing Committee alongside a delegation from the Confederation of African Football. The workshop focuses on reviewing the progress made so far in preparation for the 2027 tournament, which will be jointly hosted by the three East African nations. Delegates are working to identify practical solutions to existing challenges with an emphasis on delivering the competition on schedule and to international standards.
It's not a deadline that we've been given. This is the milestone that we had already agreed to at the point of signing the hosting rights agreement, and it is the standard CAF protocol that by December 31st, that is the point at which everything will be operational, because as they say, AFCON, you cannot do it in a stadium that's being constructed. It has to be a stadium that's operational. So you have to give ourselves at least 6 months of proper operational training on the facilities to make sure that everything is okay and East Africa is able to put together the best tournament possible.
The professional golfers of Kenya have officially launched Season 2 of the PGK Equator Tour at VetLab Sports Club, marking another significant milestone in the growth of professional golf in Kenya. The series will run across 11 events across the country and will feature an average of 60 professional golfers in each event. At the first event at VetLab Sports Club, 52 professionals teed off with 2 elite juniors joining them to participate. Joining the list of professionals who will be participating this season will be the new lady professionals Naomi Wafula, Joyce Wanjiru and Margaret Njoki.
Last season was a proof of concept. We brought together a group of corporates to work together, not compete, to launch the Equator Tour, the player development plan, and to ensure that our professionals have a full season where they can play, be employed, and raise the quality and the level of Kenyan golf. Season 2 is a continuation of that journey where we are looking to achieve bigger milestones. Season 1 culminated with excitement at the Magical Kenya Open. We saw one of our pros make the cut, and we saw a number of our pros and top amateurs come very close to making cut.
The Mata Heart Run, a major fundraising initiative aimed at supporting its long-running cardiac program, has officially been launched. The event, scheduled for Saturday, May 23, 2026, seeks to raise funds to provide critical heart treatment for underprivileged children across the country. The annual Heart Run, organized under the Mata Hospital Cardiac Program, has become one of Kenya's most impactful charity events, rallying thousands of participants to run, give, and touch little hearts. Proceeds from the event go directly toward financing life-saving heart procedures for children from economically disadvantaged backgrounds.
This is the fundraising arm of the Mata Cardiac Program, and to date we've intervened on around 6,300 children distributed between open and closed heart surgeries. And last year, because of the support that we get from the public, well-meaning Kenyans, we're able to conduct the highest number of procedures, which were around 500 procedures. So we look to increase on this number so that we address this gap that is in the community.
Be it not you, I don't know where my son could be this particular day. He's now schooling, he's in playgroup, but because of your help. So the sponsors who are here today, I'm glad, and I just don't know how I can express my gratitude towards you for your good work that you have been doing. You are saving souls, not just my son, but you are saving many souls.
To date, 477 children have been screened across and different counties. That is 477 children have been reached through these rheumatic heart disease medical camps.
Kenya Pipeline Volleyball Club secured a third-place finish at the 2026 CAF Women's African Club Championship in Cairo. The Oilers claimed bronze after a strong 3-1 victory over Club Feminine de Carthage in the third-place playoff. The Kenyan side bounced back impressively after a semi-final setback against rivals KCB Volleyball Club. The bronze medal finish caps off a strong continental showing for Kenya Pipeline, reinforcing their status among Africa's top volleyball clubs.
We have managed to secure the third position, although it was not our main target when we came. But God's ways are always many, so we have landed on the bronze. We are happy to have retained our position that we had in Abuja last year, but we are still working. We are still preparing a team that will be able to pick the gold in the near future. It's work in progress. Now we go back to concentrate on the league matches that we have. We have so many league matches that we played. We have Kenya Cup, so our concentration changes to those. And we are working very well with the junior teams towards beefing up our team so that we are stronger in the next weekend.
More than 200 games teachers have been successfully equipped with essential coaching skills across 7 sports disciplines following the conclusion of a 10-day elite national sports camp. The program, spearheaded by the Kenya Academy of Sports, came to a successful close, marking a significant step in strengthening school-based sports and nurturing talent at the grassroots level. The training aimed to enhance coaching standards by empowering educators with modern techniques, knowledge and practical skills necessary to develop young athletes.
We've had holiday camps. Last year in December,
we had 4,000 children across the country engage in holiday camps. The holiday camps, which had various disciplines, all the way from athletics, sports, rugby, handball, basketball, swimming. So at these holiday camps, we get the best trainers there are in the country to train these children. And then we go for secondary school games, primary and secondary. Here again, we are scouting. And from all these camps and all these games, we have come up with now the 600 that are behind us, who we have been training for the last 2 weeks.
I'll tell them, as things are turning, the country is also going CBE curriculum, and that world over, the world of entertainment and sports is better paying than what was traditionally expected, white-collar direction of education.
This year, the country is going to host the Anoka Games for the youth, and we are going to have a host that is in Kenya. Then we are going to have the Youth Olympics in Senegal, and we are also going to have the school Olympics games, which are going to be in Mexico. Now, by harnessing our best players and bringing them together for elite training, this is pushing our level of competition very high.
And that story concludes this TV47 Prime for the night. My name is Peter Kamau. Your sign language interpreter is Catherine Simonoi. Have yourself a lovely night. Enjoy yourself.
In a world full of noise, there is a sound that speaks to the soul. Welcome to